You ever notice how government is supposed to be this grand, noble operation where smart, serious people sit in big rooms and solve the world's problems, but when you really look at it, it's basically a circus with fancier costumes? They've got the lights, the music, the slogans, the banners, and even the popcorn. The only difference is the clowns wear expensive suits and the tickets cost you a lifetime of taxes. It's the greatest traveling show on earth, except it doesn't travel. It just stays in the same big building and keeps charging you more every year. You don't need a front row seat to see the act either, because it's everywhere. Flip on the television and there it is. Politicians arguing, reporters yelling, experts analyzing, all of them pretending something meaningful is happening while the same problems roll around like a rusty Ferris wheel that hasn't been oiled since the last century. The beauty of this circus is how seriously they take themselves. You'd think with all the cameras and microphones, someone might notice they're running a comedy routine, but no, these folks strut around like they're saving civilization. They stand at podiums, pounding on the wood, promising big change. We will fix the economy, we will fix education, we will fix health care. And the crowd claps like trained seals because they've heard those lines so many times they mistake them for music. But nothing ever changes except the names on the signs. It's like watching a magician pull the same rabbit out of the same hat for 50 years while everyone still gasps in amazement. At some point you'd think somebody would yell, "Hey, that's the same rabbit." But no, they just clap and hope this time the rabbit will solve traffic congestion. And the debates, oh, the debates. Nothing screams comedy like two people standing behind podiums pretending to hate each other while secretly belonging to the same country club. They wag fingers, they raise voices, they roll their eyes like angry schoolteachers, and the crowd eats it up like free pizza. It's a carefully choreographed ballet of fake outrage. They rehearse those zingers for weeks, hire writers to polish their spontaneous jokes, and then deliver them like they're breaking news. My opponent's plan is nothing but smoke and mirrors. They shout, while standing in front of a giant smoke machine and a mirror polished to a shine. It's like watching a wrestling match where everyone already knows the ending, but you still tune in because you enjoy the body slams and the committees. Oh boy, the committees. There's a committee for everything. A committee to study whether they need another committee. They sit in circles, nodding thoughtfully, passing papers back and forth like a game of bureaucratic hot potato. We'll need to review the subcommittee's findings. Someone says, as if the subcommittee wasn't just 3 interns with a stapler and a pizza budget. Weeks go by, reports are filed, charts are drawn, and the conclusion is always the same. More study is needed. That's government for you, where action is the enemy of employment. If they ever actually solved a problem, half of them would have to get real jobs, and don't get me started on the photo ops. You've seen those pictures of leaders in hard hats pretending to know what a hammer does. They stand at construction sites holding shovels like they're about to break ground, when everyone knows they wouldn't break a sweat even if the camera crew caught fire. They smile, they wave, they act like they built the whole building themselves, when the closest they've come to manual labor is opening a briefcase. But the cameras click, the papers print, and the public sighs with relief. Look, they're working for us. Yeah, if by working you mean standing in a clean suit while someone else digs the hole. The real magic of this circus is how it keeps selling tickets. Every election is like a brand, new season of a show you've already seen 100 times. New posters go up, new promises get printed, and the same old tricks are performed with fresh enthusiasm. This time, they say, things will be different, and people believe it. They line up, they cheer, they debate with their neighbors like the next act will finally save the day. But no matter who wins, the economy still wobbles, the roads still have potholes, and the laws still read like they were written by a committee of sleep. Deprived lawyers playing mad libs. What makes it truly funny is the way they talk about money. They spend trillions like it's pocket change, then hold press conferences to explain why there isn't enough cash to fix the library's roof. We're tightening the budget, they say, right before approving a new monument shaped like a giant marble paperweight. They give themselves raises with a straight face, then lecture the public about fiscal responsibility. It's like watching a gambler tell you he's broke while ordering another round of drinks for the whole casino. And the crowd nods along, because the numbers are so big nobody even bothers to understand them. And let's not forget the endless speeches. Politicians love speeches the way children love candy. Long, sweet, and guaranteed to give you a headache. They'll talk for hours without actually saying anything, filling the air with words like progress, opportunity, and innovation, which all translate to "we'll get back to you later." You could play a drinking game where you take a sip every time they use the phrase "har," working families. But you'd pass out before the first commercial break. It's not communication, it's noise, beautiful empty noise, but here's the real punchline. We keep showing up, we tune in, we vote, we argue at family dinners, and we act like this time the circus will finally clean up the elephant poop. We know deep down it's all part of the act, but there's something comforting about the routine. The lights, the music, the promises it's familiar, and maybe that's why the show never ends. Because as long as we keep buying tickets, they'll keep sending in the clowns. So the next time you watch a politician strut across the stage, wagging a finger and promising to change the world, just remember, you're not at a policy meeting, you're at a comedy performance with a bigger budget. And the laugh, my friend, is already paid for. You ever sit through a government press conference and realize you just listened to an hour of words and still have no idea what anybody said? That's the true genius of politics, the language. They've perfected a style of talking where every sentence sounds important but dissolves the second it hits your brain. It's like trying to hold a fistful of smoke. They don't lie outright. No, no, that would be too obvious. They specialize in the art of saying absolutely nothing with absolute confidence. You could transcribe an entire speech, read it back slowly, and discover it's basically a bowl of alphabet soup arranged by a committee of poets with a caffeine problem. Listen to the phrases they throw around. We're implementing a temporary adjustment to ensure long-term stability. Sounds impressive, right? But what does it actually mean? Could be anything. Maybe they raised your taxes. Maybe they lowered your benefits. Maybe they just moved the coffee machine to another hallway. Temporary adjustment is political code for we don't want you to ask questions until it's too late to stop us. And the public nods along because, hey, it sounds like they're on top of things. It's like a doctor telling you, we're applying a strategic realignment to your body temperature. You'd smile and say thanks while wondering if you still have a fever. My favorite is enhanced flexibility. That's a classic. It's the kind of phrase that makes you feel like progress is happening even though it means absolutely nothing. Enhanced flexibility could describe a gymnast, a bank loan, or a rubber chicken. They use it when they don't want to admit they just change the rules to suit themselves. Enhanced flexibility in budget planning means we spent all the money on something shiny and now we're guessing. But you'd never know it because it sounds like a new yoga pose. And how about working families? That one's a masterpiece. Every politician loves to talk about helping working families. Have you ever heard one of them say, "We're here to help lazy single people"? Of course not. They toss that phrase around like candy at a parade because it's emotionally bulletproof. Who's going to stand up and say they're against working families? It's the verbal equivalent of a warm hug. Safe, meaningless, and impossible to argue with. The best part is how they can talk for hours without ever using a concrete noun. It's all initiatives, frameworks, and pathways forward. You can sit through a whole budget announcement and never hear the word money. They'll say, we're pursuing a multi-tiered approach to fiscal modernization with an eye towards sustainable outcomes. Translation, we have no idea how to pay for this. But by the time you figure that out, they've already moved on to the next buzzword buffet. And have you noticed the way they announce bad news? They never just say, we messed up. No, they say, we encountered unforeseen challenges during the implementation phase. That's politician, for we had no clue what we were doing. If a pilot used that kind of language mid-flight, you'd be reaching for the parachute. But in government, it's perfectly normal. They even smile while saying it, like the words themselves will fix the problem. Sometimes they create words that don't even exist just to make confusion sound sophisticated. Deprioritization, proactive synergy, operational realignment. These aren't real things. They're verbal smoke bombs designed to make you feel too dumb to ask what's going on. It's a magic trick. They talk, you listen, and by the end you're so hypnotized by the jargon that you forget to ask the only question that matters. What the hell are you actually doing? They even hold entire meetings just to decide which words to use. There are actual employees whose job is to sit in rooms and figure out how to make bad ideas sound like good ones. If a plan involves cutting something important, they don't say cut. That's too harsh. They say streamline, restructure, or reallocate resources. Sounds much friendlier, doesn't it? We're streamlining your pension. Feels almost like a spa treatment until you realize it means you're getting less money. And when they want to raise taxes, oh, that's when the poetry really shines. They never say raise. They say adjust, modernize, or revisit our revenue strategy. Suddenly, taking more of your paycheck is an exciting new adventure in economic creativity. We're modernizing the tax code. That could mean anything from adding a new bracket to charging you for breathing. But hey, it sounds like progress. Who doesn't like modernization? The media plays along too, because why spoil a good word salad? Reporters repeat the phrases without translation, and the public repeats them again like a game of telephone. Pretty soon everyone's talking about fiscal realignment at the dinner table as if it's a real thing and not just a fancy way to say we're broke. It's a national conversation built entirely out of air. And don't forget those emergency declarations. Politicians love emergencies because emergencies come with magic language that lets them do anything. They announce a temporary measure, which lasts forever. They promise limited action, which expands faster than a buffet line at a county fair. And when you ask when it will end, they tell you it's under continuous review, which is code for never. Even the word bipartisan is a comedy routine all by itself. It's supposed to mean people from different sides working together for the common good. But in practice it just means everyone agreed to spend more money. This bill passed with strong bipartisan support. Translates to both teams figured out how to split the cash. What's really funny is how we've all learned to decode it. We pretend we don't understand, but deep down we know exactly what these phrases mean. When they say efficiency improvements, we hear layoffs. When they say revenue enhancements, we hear higher taxes. When they say public-private partnership, we hear somebody's cousin is getting rich. We laugh, we groan, and yet we still show up for the next speech like fans, waiting for an encore. It's almost poetic how they can wrap failure in such beautiful packaging. If they spill a truckload of money into a useless project, they don't call it a disaster. They call it an opportunity for growth. If a policy backfires, it's a learning experience. If they get caught doing something shady, it's a matter currently under review. That's not just language. It's a full contact sport where the goal is to dodge meaning while sounding brilliant. And just when you think you've heard every buzzword in the book, they invent a new one. They never run out. It's like a factory where jargon is manufactured in endless supply. They take an ordinary idea, strip it of clarity, sprinkle it with syllables, and release it into the wild. Before long, everyone's repeating it like it's always existed, and the cycle continues because as long as the words keep flowing, nobody has to actually do anything. So the next time you hear a politician give a speech and find yourself wondering why you're confused, don't worry, it's not you. It's the language. It's built to keep you guessing, to make you feel like something is happening while nothing really changes, and that, my friends, is the most elegant joke of all. You know, the funniest part of this whole government comedy show. It isn't the politicians, it isn't the speeches or the committees or the press conferences. It's us, the audience. We're the real punchline, the loyal laugh track that keeps the whole production running. Without us, the tent collapses, the lights go out, the clowns pack up their juggling pins, and the band goes home. But we keep showing up, election after election, year after year, like eager fans lining up for a sequel to a movie we've already seen 100 times. We complain, we gripe, we yell at the television, but when the next season starts, we're right back in the front row with popcorn in hand, ready to boo, cheer, and vote for someone who promises to finally get it right. And we always act surprised when the plot stays the same. It's a tradition. We inherit it like family recipes. Your grandparents probably did it, your parents definitely did it, and now it's your turn. You grow up hearing how this time it really matters, this time it's different, this time our vote will change everything. They tell you it's your duty, like mowing the lawn or flossing your teeth. And sure enough, you show up at the polling station, full of hope, thinking maybe, just maybe, the people in charge will suddenly discover integrity like it's a coupon they forgot in a drawer. But it never happens. Instead, we get the same magic trick. New faces, same illusions, and a fresh round of slogans that could mean anything. It's like watching a rerun with slightly better graphics. The cycle is beautiful in its simplicity. First, they mess things up, then they campaign against the mess they made. We get mad, they get humble, and suddenly they're promising to fix everything they broke, only this time with more sincerity and fewer scandals. And we buy it. We actually buy it. We march into voting booths like shoppers at a clearance sale, hoping to find something that isn't defective, even though the whole store is stocked with the same old merchandise in new packaging. We nod along, we fill in the bubbles, and we leave believing we made a difference. Then we go home, watch the results, and wake up the next morning to discover that nothing has changed except the letter next to someone's name. It's not just voting either. We feed the circus in every way possible. We watch the debates like it's championship boxing. We wear the buttons, wave the banners, stick the bumper stickers on our cars like badges of honor. We argue with strangers on the street. We fight with relatives at dinner. We split friendships over which set of clowns we think will juggle better. And for what? For the thrill of feeling like we're part of something grand, even if the whole thing is just a rerun of a bad sitcom. The politicians know this. They count on it. They don't need to be competent. They just need to be entertaining enough to keep us glued to our seats. And we give them everything they need to keep the show alive. We pay the taxes, we follow the rules, we fill out the forms, we obey the signs. We even scold each other if someone dares to question the routine. Don't be cynical. We say, you have to have hope. Hope. That's the fuel of this machine. Hope is the popcorn of politics. It smells great, tastes good for a while, and leaves you hungry for something real. Every election, they serve up a fresh batch. New candidates, new promises, new slogans, all sprinkled with just enough hope to keep us reaching into the bag. Think about it. We'll spend hours listening to people who have already proven they can't manage a lemonade stand, let alone a government. We'll defend them like they're family members. We'll donate money we don't have to campaigns that don't care. We'll volunteer to knock on doors and hand out flyers as if a piece of paper will suddenly awaken the sleeping conscience of the entire system. And when they let us down, and they always do, we shrug and start preparing for the next round, because the next election is what really counts. That's the punchline right there. We keep thinking the next one will be different, as if hope has an expiration date that magically renews every 4 years. Even when we catch them red-handed, we still give them another shot. Scandal, no problem. Broken promises, we'll overlook it. A record of incompetence, hey, nobody's perfect. We forgive and forget like they're our wayward cousins instead of public officials. Why? Because the show must go on, and we'd rather keep watching a familiar circus than risk the awkward silence of an empty stage. We like the noise, the drama, the fake suspense. It gives us something to talk about at the water cooler. Without it, we'd have to admit that maybe the system isn't broken. It's just working exactly as designed. The funniest part is how we congratulate ourselves for participating. We walk out of polling places with little stickers on our shirts like we just climbed Mount Everest. I voted. The sticker screams, as if we personally rescued democracy from the brink of extinction. Never mind that the same people will be in charge tomorrow, and the day after that, and the day after that. We feel accomplished because we played our part in the grand ritual. It's like getting a participation trophy for surviving a pie-eating contest where all the pies were empty crusts. And let's not forget the endless conversations we have about how to fix things. We write letters, sign petitions, attend town halls, and argue about which candidate will finally break the cycle. We talk about reform, about accountability, about transparency, as if the people who invented the game are suddenly going to rewrite the rules just because we asked nicely. It's adorable, really, like trying to convince a cat to file your taxes. The system isn't going to fix itself because the system isn't broken. It's a business model, and we're the customers who keep coming back while it's open, ready to be entertained. Even when we pretend we're fed up, we still play along. People love to say, "I'm never voting again, it doesn't matter." And then the next election rolls around and there they are, standing in line, muttering about civic duty while holding their noses and checking the same boxes. It's like swearing off junk food while secretly hiding a bag of chips in the cupboard. Deep down, we crave the drama. We can't resist the illusion that this time might be different. That's why the politicians don't have to be great performers. They just have to keep the lights on and the music playing. They know we'll laugh, we'll cry, we'll get angry, and we'll show up for the encore. They know we'll share their speeches on the internet, argue about their sound bites, and wear their slogans like fashion accessories. We are the oxygen that keeps the fire burning, the applause that convinces the clowns to keep juggling. And maybe that's the secret truth behind all the noise. We secretly enjoy it. We like the ritual, the drama, the feeling of being part of something bigger, even if it's just a well-rehearsed comedy routine. Because if we ever stopped laughing, if we ever stopped showing up, we might have to face the uncomfortable reality that the power was always ours to begin with, and that scares people more than any election ever could. So we'll keep clapping, keep hoping, keep voting, and keep pretending we don't know the punchline, because deep down we already know the joke isn't on them, it's on us.